Thanks, Tracy. Okay, before I hand over to Claire, our chair, to officially welcome you all to our AGM, which will reflect the accounts and the annual report for the years 24 to 25. I'll give you a few housekeeping bits and pieces. Just so you know, my name is Karen Winchcombe. I'm the Chief Executive of CAVA and work closely with the board and the rest of the CAVA team to deliver our work across the geography that we cover within Warwickshire and Solihull. So today, just the Zoom housekeeping. As I said, it's being recorded. If you don't want to be on the screen, please feel free to switch off your camera. But obviously, it's lovely to see everybody. Obviously, if you're not talking at that particular time, just please do put the mute function on, just so we can minimise the risk of sort of some of that horrible sound and feedback that we get at different times. Okay, so as the usual part of an annual general meeting, we'll be required to vote at certain times. And as and when this happens, we'll invite you to vote in the chat box. There are some things that trustees vote on, and there's things for wider members as well. So we will have some areas of voting, which there'll be a proposer, and the second chat will go into the function, and all members can a vote via the chat function. Those that have joined us in the past will probably familiar with the process by now, but nevertheless, it's always good to sort of let everybody know what the process is for today. If you've got any questions, obviously raise your hand if that's particularly pointing at any of the agenda items. And I thank you very much for joining us today. I am just going to now hand over to Claire Spires, our chair. Over to you, Claire.
Thank you, Karen. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to our annual general meeting. I welcome the mayors, leaders and councillors from the local authorities within Warwickshire and Solihull, and the representatives of the public, and of course, our wonderful members from the voluntary and charitable organisations across Warwickshire and Solihull. As part of our formal business of our AGM, attendees joining us today will receive a presentation of CAVA's accounts, nomination and appointment of new trustees joining the board, and the opportunity to hear from Tracy Southam and Alison Thompson, CAVA's area managers, on what their frontline experience has been over the past year. I'm delighted to welcome you all. I will now proceed with our formal AGM business. We have a number of apologies of note, which I will ask Karen to read out.
Thank you, Claire. Okay. Councillor Alex Deering, John Wild, Mary Dunleavy, Sarah Handley, Saki Batty, MP for Meriden and Solihull East, Matt Weston, Monica Fogarty, Debbie Bates, Sarah Duxbury, Chris Elliott, Dominica Stockham, Jerry Woodhouse, Jane Coates, Manuela Pertigella, John Wild, Rob Powell, George Finch, Sir Jeremy Wright, Councillor Andrew Day, Councillor Barbara Brown, I've said Dominica already, and Charles Barlow. Thank you, Claire. There will be other, we may well receive further apologies as the day goes on, and we will note them accordingly in minutes.
Thank you, Karen. Are there any other apologies that have not been sent through that anyone would like to record at this stage? Can you please add the names to the chat box? No? Okay, I will continue. CAVA members will have received a copy of last year's minutes. I hope that you've had a moment to review these. For members present at last year's AGM, can I ask for a proposer and a seconder to accept these minutes as an accurate record of our 2024 AGM? Can you please add your names to the chat box? And can I ask Alison or Debbie to confirm that we have a proposer and a seconder, please?
We've got proposed by Judith and seconded by Tom.
Thank you both. We have one item on matters arising from last year's AGM, and that is branding. The board have deferred that to the current financial year. I'll now ask area managers Tracy Southam and Alison Thompson to present an overview of some of the organisation's achievements over the past year, picking out key highlights from this year's annual report, a copy of which is now on our website and for which you were sent a link. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. I'll just share some slides. Hopefully everyone can see those. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tracy Southam, and I'm one of the area managers for CAVA. And this afternoon, along with my colleague Alison Thompson, I'm going to be presenting an overview of the delivery undertaken by CAVA in the year 2024 to 25. This is a highlight of our work, and as always, we would commend the full report to you, which is available on the website. We'd like to take the time to thank our team for their hard work, who've delivered the breadth of services offered by CAVA, which have enabled us to produce this vibrant report. And an extra note of thanks to Owen Jones, our Marketing and Communications Officer, who does a wonderful job doing the design work on the report each year for us. Before we progress through the presentation today, we want to acknowledge that it's the start of Trustees Week. There are a range of estimates on how many people volunteer as trustees across the UK. However, regardless of the number of trustees, the offer that's made and the huge range of skills and support to our sector mean that we should recognise how important that it is, not just this week, but across the year, to recognise all who offer their skills as trustees. Thank you to our wonderful trustee team who are here today, who provide so much to CAVA, and to all of you who act in trustee roles as volunteers. Do follow along our social media this week as we share a range of support resources for trustees. And if you'd like to become a trustee, please reach out to us. There are lots of opportunities locally for trustees. I'll now hand over to Alison for our first update.
So I'll be talking about our infrastructure delivery in Warwickshire. So our delivery in Warwickshire is funded through Warwickshire County Council, Warwick District Council, Rugby Borough and Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council. We have delivery teams serving all of the districts and boroughs across Warwickshire. Delivery in Nuneaton and Bedworth and North Warwickshire is overseen by me, and Stratford District, Warwick District and Rugby Borough are overseen by Tracy Southam. Tracy and I are supported by our delivery and development managers, funding and groups development officers and volunteering coordinators. And in addition, we note our appreciation to Esme, who supports all of our data analysis and reporting. For our Warwickshire County Council contract, we work in partnership with Coventry and Warwickshire Cooperative Development Agency, who deliver social enterprise support, and Grapevine, Coventry and Warwickshire, who provide social action support. Now, here's the numbers, so I shall be testing you all at the end. See if I manage to get them right. So we support, our team support in 24-25, 1,149 groups and organisations working in partnership across all of the boroughs and districts, providing 2,056 incidents of support. Funding continued to be a challenge for many groups, and we assisted with 411 funding applications amounting to £14,295,669, and of which over 5 million came into Warwickshire within the financial year through our assistance with funding applications and on grant panels. CAVA teams held 259 events, including webinars, workshops, and contributed to 194 others, which built the capacity of nearly 14,000 people and 1,728 organisations. Now I'll hand back over to Tracy.
Thank you, Alison. So the next project on our list is our work in Solihull on our infrastructure delivery. During the financial year, our trustees, during the financial year, we finalised work on our previous service contract and successfully secured the new infrastructure contract, which began on the 1st of October 2024. We've now been delivering consistent infrastructure support in Solihull since 2018. In 2024-2025, 87 organisations were supported. Just over £900,000 of funding was awarded to the groups that were supported with application advice, and we held 22 events which attracted 1,025 attendees. Some other highlights across the year were an event on seldom heard communities and loneliness, which included a service marketplace for 20 local organisations. Administrative support for that initiative has since transitioned to Coalbridge Trust, the North Solihull community anchor. CAVA also hosted a special afternoon tea in partnership with the Freemasons of Coleshill and Seeds of Hope to mark 40 years of celebrating Volunteers Week. We had 70 people at this event with 15 organisations represented. We've continued to do a raft of work on representation and networking, including our work with Birmingham and Solihull Integrated Care System, the Solihull Place Partnership, local delivery partnerships, the Community Care Collaborative, and the Birmingham and Solihull Voluntary Sector Leadership Alliance. We're proud to continue supporting the efforts of the wonderful voluntary community, faith and social enterprise sector operating across Solihull and supporting them to have a greater influence and voice in all levels of decision making. Sadly, during this year, Jane Holdsworth, our area manager for Solihull, left the CAVA team. However, we've been pleased to welcome Debbie Harding as our new area manager for Solihull. I'm now going to hand over to Alison.
Active delivery of the Arley and Ansley Big Local project came to an end in August 2024. We'd like to thank the 25 plus residents who were part of the partnership over the 10 years of the programme, the residents who volunteered as part of the youth club, and of course the staff team who helped to make this all happen. The dedication to the area has been inspiring, and since 2021 alone, the economic value of volunteering in Arley and Ansley was over £48,000. We really do believe that the outcome of making the villages of Ansley, Old Arley and New Arley better places to live for all has been achieved. The final year of delivery was all about legacy. We finally saw spades in the ground by Arley Parish Council, building a sports pavilion at Hilltop Playing Fields, with the cranes lifting the modular buildings into place in March. We saw the community newsletter become its own legacy organisation and continue the development of its excellent local regular news circular. We donated many of the assets built up over the programme within the community. For example, the generator was gifted to a local small catering business so it could continue to support community events. Lots of the play equipment went to Arley Primary School, and the parish councils were pleased to receive lots of event and play equipment too. We also continue to support local consultations around the desire to create a community shed and hope to see this come to fruition in the future. In the other big local, in Hilltop Caldwell, we saw the final big local activities delivered by September this year. CAVA was asked by the national funder, Local Trust, to manage all elements of the programme in HTC. Therefore, the hub continued to be a focal point to make the area an even better place for residents, a welcoming place where residents can meet, get advice, share skills and learn new ones, with coffee mornings, warm hub sessions, yoga, wellbeing walks, holiday activities for children and young people, amongst many, many other things. Collaboration was also key to making the year a success. We funded a range of local organisations who could actively deliver with us. Brandcab provided targeted advice sessions at Wembrook Community Centre, and over the year they worked with over 130 clients, achieving a financial outcome of over £177,000. Alongside its existing weekly youth clubs, the Positive Impact Foundation ran activities over the summer holidays and launched a new girls only club and monthly wellbeing sessions for our more mature residents. Think Active also run monthly seated exercise group with guided conversations about how residents can get more active. And one outcome of this, that we now have a Mason Mile trained walk leader running weekly walk and talk sessions. We embedded our work with Warwickshire Wildlife Trust, who have led on community conversations about the environment and ran nature explorer sessions throughout the school holidays. Aspiring Arts also ran weekly youth sessions from the hub and took local young people on trips to Red Kangaroo and Woodlands Outdoor Adventure. A particular proud achievement was, through external funding from the County Council's Holidays Activity Fund, HTC distributed a massive 615 meals to children and their families over the summer through our events. And also with funding from the Household Support Fund, 32 warm and well packs were given out in December and January, benefiting 69 people. Thanks. Tracy?
Thanks, Alison. So we're going to move from our community development support in the north to our community development support in the south. And I'm pleased to update you about the Bishopton and Clopton Community Builder Programme. The Bishopton and Clopton Community Builder role is commissioned by a partnership of organisations in Stratford, including the Stratford District Council, Stratford Town Trust and Stratford Town Council. The funding enables the worker to support the communities of Bishopton and Clopton working towards 5 key priorities: community safety and housing, environmental action, community activities, health, and voluntary and community and social enterprise sector resilience. Some highlights from the year have included the work with Bishopton Community Centre, where we've revitalised the Monday Hub through some targeted promotion and now have a new dedicated Facebook page. We responded to community feedback with a new children's book sharing initiative and a summer book club. A puppet making workshop was also attended by 12 families, which received really positive feedback. At the Ken Kennett Centre, the weekly Clopton Connect Hub remains very popular, with seated exercise classes enhanced through a partnership with Everyone Active. The centre was fully revitalised with a large-scale mural project and the successful Clopton Family Fun Day. The Net Zero Community Kitchen is still feeding around 22 residents per week, providing vulnerable support and social connection, and doing some amazing stuff with food waste in turning it into a 3-course meal. Partnership working has continued with strong collaborations with Stratford Town Trust Community Hub, and we've delivered joint initiatives such as big lunch events and the Great British Spring Clean Litter Pick. Engagement with local councils, policing teams, schools and voluntary organisations has helped coordinate events and shape responses to community need. We've identified there is low engagement with under 5s within Clopton and have convened a working group of providers to explore situations, so watch this space for the next reporting year. I'm going to carry on and tell you about our health and wellbeing. So at CAVA, we're committed to supporting the health and wellbeing of our team through a combination of leadership, policy and practical initiatives. Some of the ways we deploy this are through our staff away sessions, employee assistance programme, our quarterly informed newsletter and our Make a Difference Day volunteering. Each year under the Make a Difference banner, our teams volunteer with local causes to give back to the community, which not only boosts morale but also allows us to pay back in some of the community settings. Some examples of what we did last year were some decoration for Christmas with the Harvest Fellowship Church in Rugby. We had a very willing young volunteer who was about 2, who decided that climbing ladders was much more fun than helping with putting decorations at the ground level. So he was a delight to be with for a morning. In Warwick, we had some work with the toy drive for families in need at Chase Meadow, which was an event that's organised to support families in need through donations of good quality toys to help families at Christmas time. In Stratford, our team supported the facilitation of the Men's Sheds AGM due to their volunteer capacity, and Chris made a wonderful Father Christmas for the Escapes Art Christmas appeal. And in Nuneaton Bedworth in North Warwickshire, the team helped restore a very beautiful tiled area of Aspiring Arts, which was covered in a very thick layer of brown paint, which I'm sure Alison can tell you about in great detail if you'd like to know more about that. I'm going to hand over to Alison.
I can talk about the new town, that's fine. Right, so I've got, this year we proudly celebrated the 60th anniversary of the new town centre, and it remains a vital hub in Nuneaton, offering essential services and a welcoming space for the community, with health services including the NHS phlebotomy clinic, serving nearly 2,000 patients weekly, diabetic eye screening, where weekly over 250 patients are seen, a weekly chiropody clinic, and annual health checks for people with severe mental illness. Our community activities include adult community learning, offering courses for SEND adults in cooking, drama and life skills. Change, Grow, Live delivers support sessions for those with addictions or in recovery. The Sahil Project run weekly sessions for South Asian women. Sky Blues in the community deliver 3 weekly healthy living and fitness sessions. And the marvellous Chota Dance Academy have been at the centre for 45 years, run a range of children's dance classes 4 days a week. We're also proud of the events and celebrations that we're able to run from the centre. And over our reporting year, these have included a Macmillan Coffee Morning, raising over £300, our volunteer afternoon tea, which celebrated 60 volunteers from across the borough, We host the annual Nuneaton Christmas lunch, which this year serves 79 residents who would otherwise be alone on Christmas Day, with a 3-course meal, music, dancing, gifts and a visit from Santa. And in January, we partnered with DWP to host a jobs and volunteering fair, which was attended by over 1,000 people. Finally, I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our wonderful centre volunteers. And this year we said farewell to Sheila, our beloved volunteer of 19 years. To Sandra, who's been with us since, amazingly, 1989. To Michael, our stalwart gardener. And finally, Sarita, who assists with our volunteering offer.
Sorry, Alison, I'm going to skip that one because I got excited with my slides, didn't I?
That's why I got a little bit confused. That's fine. So I'm going to talk to you about the integrated care system. So we were appointed as the lead organisation for the integrated care system for the Voluntary Community Faith and Social Enterprise Collaborative for Coventry and Warwickshire, working in partnership with Voluntary Action Coventry and colleagues from across the sector. The Voluntary Community Faith and Social Enterprise Sector Collaborative forms the main interface for the ICS to engage with the sector as a community conduit and a provider of services to patients, public and communities. The position of the sector within communities as an alternative source of holistic support to the traditional health and social care pathways makes it an important partner in supporting NHS integrated care boards to reduce health inequalities and provide services, provide services and support through prevention. The collaborative is underpinned and developed around 3 key principles: collaborative working, equitable opportunity, reducing risks of duplication. The collaborative was established in April 2024. Year 1 priorities focused on setting up its structures and reporting arrangements, with Year 2 focused on mobilisation. CAVA is also a partner within the Birmingham and Solihull, BSOL, integrated care system, providing representation at the Community Care Collaborative, Solihull Place and Local Delivery Partnership, and the SMBC Health and Wellbeing Board on behalf of the sector across Solihull. As the local CVS for Solihull, we work in partnership with our Birmingham equivalent, BVSC, the lead organisation for the Leaders Alliance across BSOL and the local sector, to support representation and integration of the VCS alongside our partners in Solihull. A key part of health integration work in Solihull has been focused on the role of the sector in reducing winter pressures at a community level. This approach helps set foundations to build on and move towards collaborative working and delivery in the future. Thank you.
The slides have gone a little bit out of sync here, my apologies. Right or wrong, make it strong is the mantra, isn't it? If anyone is foxed by any of the acronyms or abbreviations that we've tried to say in full, do put a query in the chat, and between us we'll give you an answer of what the initials stand for. So I'm going to carry on with the Research and Engagement Network, which is a programme also operated across the Coventry and Warwickshire integrated care system. We, along with other organisations, are working to increase the diversity of participants in health and care research initiatives. Research that better reflects the needs and interests of all areas, groups and communities, which will hopefully lead to improvements in health and social care treatment, earlier diagnosis and prevention against conditions. The goals of the Research Engagement Network are building trusted, mutually beneficial relationships with local communities, understanding how people view and experience research, working with community members to make research more inclusive and representative, identifying and removing the barriers to people participating, co-creating with communities research which reflects their community priorities, and sharing opportunities to get involved in research in different ways. To enable us to do that, we've embedded a REN working group within the integrated care system. We've used our existing networks to find engagement opportunities. We've co-created engagement resources and trained community research champions with Coventry University. We've worked with the local rural population, waterways and veteran communities to gain insights and explore ways to increase their engagement with research. And we've helped people with lived experience get involved in all parts of research, including including as co-applicants of studies, co-developers of research priorities, and co-designers of research questions. We're continuing this work to ensure diverse voices shape research and help improve health and wellbeing across Coventry and Warwickshire. We're going to carry on with our social fabric fund now. It's back to Alison.
Warwickshire County Council's £2.5 million social fabric fund wrapped up in March, with final awards announced and the end of CAVA's dedicated support programme. Funding was prioritised to communities in the top 20% most deprived areas. Many of these are located in Nuneaton and Bedworth. The fund saw 74 applications submitted, requesting nearly 9.5 million in total. Projects range from domestic abuse support and youth programmes to community spaces, ecological initiatives and healthy lifestyle activities. Our role was to support all applicants, successful or not, with guidance on meeting the fund criteria, project planning and budgeting, sustainability and evidencing community need, and finally, support with completing applications. We offered a wider package of support by launching a community spaces forum in Nuneaton and Bedworth, offered some bespoke marketing support, and delivered training that included 2 first aid courses, 2 safeguarding sessions, and 100 food hygiene training places. This project not only brought vital funding to Warwickshire's most in-need areas, but also strengthened community ties and reinforced CAVA's role as a trusted collaborative partner. Back to you, Tracy.
Thanks, Alison. The next project we want to update you on is our work around the Stratford Development Officer Programme. So the Stratford Social Inclusion Partnership, also known as the SIP, work to reduce social exclusion within the Stratford District. With funding from Stratford District Council, CAVA employs a development officer, Chris Freeman, whose role it is to work with voluntary, community and social enterprise sector organisations to effectively support the priorities of the social inclusion plan. The core focus of the development officer is to support voluntary, community and social enterprise groups to more effectively secure funding and support their development needs. In 2024-2025, he supported groups to apply for £1.9 million of funding. Just under £600,000 of funding was secured by groups aligned to the social inclusion priorities, which was a 25% increase in funding compared to the impact from the support in 23-24. A total of 74 organisations are supported, and since the start of the project, £1.9 million has been secured to invest in the programme across Stratford. This is the 5th annual year that we've seen an increase in funding, which is no mean feat based on the climate for funding generally. And hand back over to Alison.
Our Simply Connect volunteering portal, supported by our volunteering coordinators, enables volunteers and volunteer involving organisations to have 24-hour access to volunteering opportunities. During 24-25, 1,925 individuals in Warwickshire registered their interest in volunteering and were supported by CAVA's volunteering team, resulting in 1,466 being placed in a volunteering role, of which 1,043 were placed within a service supporting community need. This includes 376 one-off ESV or employee skilled volunteering and micro-volunteering opportunities undertaken. The economic value of this volunteering equated to approximately £4.9 million over this reporting period. We delivered 3 amazing volunteer events in the summer to recognise the diversity of volunteering and held 3 afternoon tea events to celebrate a range of volunteering organisations across North, Mid and South areas of Warwickshire. Thank you.
Before we finish, we just wanted to acknowledge all of our wonderful sponsors and supporters who've enabled us to deliver our services across the year. I won't take them all through by name, but a huge thank you to everyone that supports and works with CAVA in a partnership or funding capacity. Thank you for your patience with Alison and I as I got confused with the slides. That was a technical error on my side, but I'll now hand back to Claire, who will take us through the next part of our agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy and Alison, for such an informative update. We are now going to take some time for the Treasurer's Review and annual accounts, and I'm delighted to be able to hand over to Wendy Hubbard of Burgess & Bullock, Accountant and Auditor. Over to you, Wendy.
Thank you very much. And hopefully Tracy and I will work in tandem with my slides. Today, I hope to give you a brief overview of the key highlights of CAVA's financial performance for the year ending 31st of March 2025. And the following figures that I shall talk about all come from the formal financial accounts for that year, which have been subject to our external audit. So turning to the first chart, this is to give you an indication of where your income for that year has come from. And as you can see from the slide, this year you generated just under £2 million worth of income. Most of this comes from your direct funding of your charitable activities by way of grants and contracts, including the core provision from Warwickshire County Council. The hire rental income is mainly made up of the hire of the new town centre, and this year your income has also been boosted by the sale of the rugby premises. And the charts below show you how that income is split between restricted income and unrestricted income, and I'll explain a little more about that in a moment. So moving on to the next slide, this gives you an indication of how that income has been spent. As you would expect, staff costs make up the largest proportion, albeit that following restructures within the organisation this year, the proportion of overall costs is at a lower level than in the previous year. So when you take into account the overall expenditure for the year, you have reported a surplus of just under 119,000. Although I would ask you to note that of that surplus, 185,000 relates to that you generated from the sale of the rugby premises. So the next slide gives you some further details of the makeup of staff costs and the other direct costs category that was included on the previous slide. You can see from here that the drop in the gross staff costs, as I've mentioned a moment ago, but also the increase that you were able to spend on projects. And then the rest of your general expenditure, as you can see from the chart there, is pretty much consistent with the previous year. So at the end of the year, the reserves of the charity stood at just over 1.1 million. And on the next slide, this shows you the split of the respective categories of those reserves, the majority of which you can see are categorised as restricted. And this means that they have to be spent in line with the restrictions that have been imposed by the provider of those funds. The endowment funds that you see there relate to the permanent capital of the funds that underpinned the formation of the charity. And then the remaining unrestricted funds are available to be spent in line with the general charitable objectives of the organisation. If we turn to the next slide, this shows you in numeric terms those reserves, so you can see the value of the reserves I've just mentioned. And at the bottom, I've listed the top 10 restricted funds that you still have yet to spend. And obviously the largest one of those is still the new town centre for the continuing maintenance and refurbishment of that building. So following on to the next slide, this is to give you an indication of where those funds are held, whether that be in the form of a tangible asset such as property or equipment, in a specific investment fund, or, as is in the case for the majority of your reserves, they are held in short-term liquid funds, or in other words, mainly sort of bank deposits. And then moving on to the final slide, this is the important one because this is how the numbers reflect in the wonderful work that Tracy and Alison have just described that the organisation was able to carry out during the year. So, as I say, that was a very quick overview of the numbers, but hopefully informative. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. We're now going to hand it over to Jo, CAVA's lead trustee for finance, who will propose the accounts to the board and meeting. Thank you, Jo.
Thanks. I propose the director's report and financial statements for the year ended 31st of March 2025 and the auditor's report to the meeting.
And Claire, I will be happy to second that.
Brilliant. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Wendy and Jo. Can I seek adoption of accounts from the membership? And please, can I ask you to use the chat box to do this? And Alison and Debbie, could you confirm that when members have voted?
Yep, we're getting confirmation, Claire, from Cheryl, Joanne, Ian, Jackie, Tom, David.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for your votes. So now we're going to move on to appointment of auditors for the years 24-25. Jo, please can I invite you to propose auditors? Our auditors are reappointed for 25-26.
Yeah, I propose that CAVA reappoint Burgess and Bullock as auditors and authorise the directors to fix their remuneration.
Can I please ask for a seconder from the voting membership? Once again, please use the chat box to do this. And Alison and Debbie, could you confirm when we have a seconder, please? Wonderful. Thank you, David.
Yeah, we've got David supporting that.
Brilliant. Thank you, Debbie. And now we will move to nominations and appointment of directors. Karen, can I hand over to you?
Thanks, Claire. Yeah. The first part of this is about board members standing down. Then this doesn't necessarily mean actually standing down and retiring from the board. However, as part of the annual retire by rotation rule, where 1/3 or to the nearest third is required to step down and be appointed for a subsequent term or fully retire. And this year, this rule applies to Phil Robson, who's resigned during the year, and our long-serving wonderful member Andrew Gabbitas, as he fully retires after serving the full term a trustee can serve on the board in line with CAVA's constitution. I think at this point, I'd quite like to, it's quite a poignant time for us, so I'd like to hand back to Claire to give thanks to Andrew for his time in office. Andrew's also our current vice chair. We'll come on to that part of the business shortly, but it feels timely that we hand over to Claire to give thanks.
Thank you, Karen. So it's with mixed emotions, deep appreciation and sadness that today marks the end of Andrew's tenure on the CAVA board, who after an incredible 10 years is stepping down from his role as trustee. Throughout his tenure, Andrew has been a calm, humble and steadying force, someone whose insight has guided us through periods of significant change, including shifts in leadership and the immense challenges brought by the COVID-19 pandemic. When the world seemed to stop, he helped ensure CAVA did anything but. Under his guidance, CAVA not only adapted, but led vital coordinated volunteering efforts that showed the true value of community and service in times of crisis. Andrew often drew on his wider experience as a trustee with the Wildlife Trust, bringing that same sense of stewardship, balance and care for the long term, always reminding us of the importance of nurturing both people and place. On a personal note, I want to thank Andrew for being my mentor, for your quiet encouragement, generous support and helping me find my feet and confidence in my journey to the chair. On behalf of the entire board and team at CAVA, thank you for your decade of service, your wisdom and unwavering commitment to our community. You leave a lasting legacy of calm leadership and genuine care that we will miss as a key member of our board, which we will endeavour to carry forward. Thank you, Andrew. So, Andrew, I believe you would like to say a few words too before we officially ask you to step down. Would you like to share a few words on your time with CAVA?
Okay. Can I thank you, first of all, Claire, for those very, very kind words. And it's difficult for me now. How do I sum up my time with CAVA? I guess I'd start with the advice that we give to all potential volunteers, which is to do something you will enjoy. And I've enjoyed my time with CAVA. Yes, there have been some hard and difficult times and issues, but overall, I've been rewarded with a positive, enjoyable experience. And a big part of that is to do with the contribution that voluntary and community sectors make to the quality of life in Warwickshire and Solihull. That contribution is made up of the proverbial thousands of grains of sand that represent the efforts of all the volunteers and their organisations. Without those efforts, so many good things would simply cease to happen. Another part of the reward has been working with the team that is CAVA. I've worked with 3 chief executives, and they've been very different people, but they have shared a common passion and commitment and to the vitality of the sector and its ability to make things happen and to deliver real positive outcomes. Paul, Kate, and Karen, I've learned an immense amount from you. CAVA is, of course, a team, and that team consists of people who bring an immense range and depth of skills, knowledge, and imagination, which makes the organisation much greater than the sum of its parts. I won't attempt to list all those individuals, time's against me. I will, however, make one exception, and that's to recognise the immense contribution that Tracy, Alison, and Jane, as area managers, have made to CAVA and to the sector as a whole. They've been a powerful engine room for ideas, project management, and leadership. They've supported me and the chief executives in meeting the challenges we've faced, and in those gaps between the terms of office of chief executives, they provided continuity and resilience. The other team at CAVA is my fellow trustees. They are themselves volunteers who have brought a vast range of experience, wisdom, knowledge, and challenge to the governance of CAVA. I think we've been a strong team, and one that under the leadership of Claire and Joanne will continue to develop and to prosper. I myself will continue to volunteer. I've just been appointed to 2 charities that are local to me. One is Rugby Hope 4, which helps homeless people and acts as food bank in Rugby. And the other is in my own village, Churchover Relief in Need, which looks after some housing for people who find it difficult to find accommodation, and also provide support generally throughout the village to those who are facing some hard times. So, far from disappearing, I will continue to see you all for some time to come, at least. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. I can now confirm you step down from your role as trustee. Can I now like to hand back to Karen?
Thanks, Claire, and thank you to Andrew too. We now move on to appointment of trustees. And during this year, we've already appointed 1 trustee in Joanna Corral, who has joined the board as a new trustee. And also we are very pleased to have fulfilled a role which was vacant on the board around lead trustee for finance. Thank you for all you're doing, Jo, and welcome to the next part, I guess. So It's also good news with people stepping down. We have new willing volunteers to come on board that representative of some of the vacancies or gaps in skills or geography that the board identified they would like to appoint to. So to the meeting, I introduce you to our candidate 1, standing for trustee, and that is Kim Slater. Kim has many years working and leading organisations in the VCSE sector, particularly around rural affairs, community transport and small setups. He is passionate about the role of the sector in supporting communities and the impact on people's lives. Please can I ask the Chair to propose Kim as a new trustee to the board?
I am pleased to propose Kim Slater as a new trustee to the CAVA board. Please could I seek a seconder?
I'm happy to second your proposal, Claire.
Brilliant. Thank you, Cheryl. Back to Karen.
Our second candidate standing for trustee is Jenny Watkins. Jenny has a strong background working as part of the public sector with adult social care directorates and has also undertaken many roles as a volunteer across Warwickshire. Again, I would like to invite the Chair to propose Jenny and undertake the formal voting process to elect her to the board.
I'm pleased to propose Jenny Watkins as a new trustee to the CAVA board. Please, can I have a seconder? Would anybody like to?
I'm happy to second your proposal, Claire.
Brilliant. Thank you, Cheryl. Back to Karen.
Finally, I'd like to introduce you to our third candidate standing for trustee, and that is Andrew Cave. Andrew brings to CAVA the voice and representation on behalf of the wonderful Solihull Borough, and Andy's background is within patient local community voice as part of Health Watch, particularly across our Solihull and Birmingham landscape, where he works strategically as part of the integrated care system. Andy is very much also committed to equity, diversity around equality and inclusion, and sorry, Pedro, and the impact that the VCSE has across the landscape. Again, I hand back to you, Claire, to propose Andrew to as a trustee to the board.
Absolutely. I'm pleased to propose Andrew Cave as a new trustee to the CAVA board. Please, can I seek a seconder?
I am happy to second your proposal, Claire.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm now going to hand back to Karen as we move on to co-opted members.
Thank you again, Claire. So from time to time, not very often, but from time to time, the board seeks co-opted members who can help assist in bringing specific skills and experience to the board, but without the commitment of being a trustee. On this occasion, as Warwickshire devolution is on the horizon, and as the market of our CAVA Leamington building is underway, and we're looking to various options, the board have invited Andrew Gabatas, who's just retired as trustee, to join the board as a co-op member to continue to see through this piece of work. Co-opted members have no voting rights, but are invited to join the board meetings as appropriate in line with agenda items to provide voice and guidance on such specific matters. Membership is co-opted on an annual basis. I therefore hand back to Claire to undertake the formal voting process to appoint Andrew as a co-opted member of the board.
Please, can I seek a proposer and seconder to appoint Andrew Gabatas as a co-opted member to the board?
I'm happy to propose Andrew.
Thank you, Jo.
Judith has confirmed she's happy to second that proposal, Claire.
Thank you, Judith. As Andrew Gabatas retires as a trustee, in turn he relinquishes his role as vice chair of the board. Although the role of the vice chair is not constitutional, the board wishes to continue this role as it supports the effectiveness and continuity of CAVA's business. Following the process, I am delighted to propose Joanna Corral as our new vice chair. Please, can I seek endorsement from the board? I think you're on mute, Cheryl.
On behalf of the board, I'm delighted to endorse this proposal, Claire.
Brilliant. Thank you, Cheryl. Joe, welcome. And I look forward to working with you over the coming year. And many, many thanks to all new officers. We very much look forward to working with you. And I thank you so much for choosing CAVA to volunteer your time. We now move into any other business. Karen, have we received any notices?
We have no notices of any other business, Claire.
Oh, thank you, Karen. So I'd like to take this opportunity to give thanks to our funders, our partners, our staff team, and the board for all of your hard work and commitment to CAVA and our community. The work that you do in making a difference is just phenomenal. So this concludes the business of our annual general meeting, and we look forward to seeing you again next year. Thank you.